Good evening, folks. I hope you all got your sandwich and something to drink and a beverage. We've got a great program for you tonight. And thank you so much for being here this evening and taking the time to join us at the Italian American Alliance. This is our annual meeting, our seventh time we've been in existence, and this is a very special time for us, and thank you for sharing it with us. It really means a lot. And I have a lot of wonderful friends here, that people I know and that I'm familiar with. It's so good to see those familiar faces. And then there's some people here that I'm meeting for the first time. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Vice President of the Italian American Alliance. My name is Tommy Damigella, or you can call me Tom. My friends call me Tommy. I grew up as Little Tom because my father was Big Tom. Of course, I was 4 inches taller than him. But that doesn't matter when you're an Italian family, right? How many people was a little somebody in your family because you had the same name, right? Sounded right? So you know what I'm talking about. And when you're with all your friends growing up, like I have, I'm 77 years old, and I get friends that are still Jimmy, Ricky, Bobby, Billy. I'm Tommy. You know, here we are. We just don't outgrow that. But it's part of our culture and who we are, and it makes us feel kind of special, if you know what I mean, and familiar. So we're really all family, and it's wonderful to be here with you. We're sharing some wonderful things that we've done in our 7 years, and we're glad to share that with you. And we have a lot of traditions that we're going to be introducing to you. And one of them, obviously, is the first thing we like to do is start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right? So, Flo, would you like to do us the honor? Come on up. Well, there's a flag over there. We'll face it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Flo. Ross, where are you? And matter of fact, when I think about doing the Pledge of Allegiance, how many people grew up with Brother Bob? Is that what's his name? Big Brother. Big Brother, yeah. Bob Emery, that's right. If we had a glass of milk, we could have toasted after the Pledge of Allegiance. That would have been wonderful. But we have another tradition, and we like to start now with another tradition by having to play the national anthem from Italy. Yeah. Thank you. And we have Al Ciccarelli that I'd like to take this moment. He's a chaplain of the post in, which post is it? It's 440, and he's also one of our board of directors. Could you lead us in an invocation right now, Al?
Holy Father, grant that the things we do here today will be for the betterment of these United States of America, our homeland of Italy, our families, our community, and ourselves. We ask for your supreme guidance now in our daily lives. Amen.
Thank you very much, Al. Thank you. Our next speaker I'd like to introduce to the podium is a very good friend of ours, someone you know very well. He's a man that's been a leader in the Italian-American community for many years, and he's also happens to be the co-founder of the IAA and now the president of the Italian-American Alliance, past president of the Sons of Italy, and it's my pleasure to introduce to the stage Jimmy DiStefano.
Thank you, Tommy. Buonasera. Wow, what a crew. Looks great. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's been an interesting adventure up here as the president of this organization, but you know, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how did you guys start? So I'm going to tell you real quick. 2015, I believe, 2015, the city of Cambridge. Can you hear me okay? My voice is kind of... Okay, now can you hear me? Sorry, you really don't want to hear me, but I'm going to talk to you anyway. Back in 2015, the city of Cambridge, at a council meeting, decided to just eliminate Columbus Day in Cambridge. They never brought it up to the voters. They never brought it up to anybody. One councilman at a council meeting brought it up, and they all voted for his proposal. So they eliminated Columbus Day on their own. Well, when the rest of the Italian organizations heard about this, the largest one at the time was the Sons of Italy. And we had a gentleman by the name of Al DiNapoli, thank you. Al DiNapoli, who was the chairman of the Social Justice Committee for the National of the Sons of Italy. And Kevin Kyra at the time was the chairman of Social Justice for Massachusetts. So they decided to send a letter out to all of the lodges in Massachusetts that we were going to have a meeting right here and downstairs in this building. Well, we did. There must have been 100 and 150 people there. It was crowded. And there was a lot of back and forth, so on and so forth. But they decided to fight this by sending a letter to the city of Cambridge Council telling them what we thought of that, which I don't even want to repeat what we put in the letter. But anyhow, so Dr. Frank Mazzaglia, if some of you don't know him, just a fabulous man, really outstanding person. So at the end of that meeting, he and I walked out, we went to Bertucci's, and we sat there and he said to me, Jimmy, you know where that letter's going to end up, don't you? I said, yeah, in the Rotary file. He says, that's right. So that's not enough. We just can't let them get away with that. So he said, we have to have something more than that. So he went home. 3 days later, he calls me up and he says, Jimmy, we have to meet again. I said, where? At the office. He called Bertucci's the office. We met there about 75 times. Anyhow, I go to Bertucci's with him, and he's got a case full of information. And he says to me, Jimmy, this is what we have to do. We have to start a whole new program. Let's call it the Italian-American Alliance. And he had the whole outline done, everything. It was fabulous. And I said, Frank, don't you sleep at night? He said, I try not to. This man could write anything, anywhere. He was syndicated in 35 newspapers. That's how good a writer he was. He was a great man, Dr. Frank Mazzaglia. Un- Unfortunately, we lost him a few years back. Anyhow, he came up with the whole program. And so he started out with the mission statement. So I'm going to read the mission statement to you. The Italian-American Alliance opposes discrimination against all people. We proudly promote our Italian heritage, which includes the great Admiral Christopher Columbus. And we welcome people of all races, ethnic groups, and religious communities into our great and growing Alliance family, which right now, by the way, folks, is over 8,000 people. So we obviously hit a nerve somewhere. We've got a lot of people joining us that want to do the same thing. And it started out just against Cambridge, but let me tell you, we have fought so many different towns. And we don't just send them letters or send them emails. We fight them. We go to their meetings. We sit down and fight with them. We discuss with them. And we try to correct their mistakes. But it's just a pleasure for me to have been here to do this with we got a fantastic council. As a matter of fact, what I'd like to do is all members of that council, please stand up right now. Please, everybody. These people are all volunteers. You know, we don't take one penny from anybody. None of these people get paid. It's strictly volunteers, and they do an outstanding job. And I can't tell you how proud I am to be the president of this organization. So with that, before I go too long, I have to recognize some of the people in the hall who have also helped us along the way. The only wish I have is I wish more organizations would join us when we're fighting these people. But the ones that do, I thank you very much. So we have in the audience Angelo Ferenzi. He's past president of the Dante Alighieri. Thank you, Angelo. This young lady has helped us in so many ways. Pam Donnaroma of the Post-Gazette. We have the lovely Yolanda Salucci. Yolanda, thank you. And her daughter, Sonda. Thank you, Sonda. Denise Finari is a past state president of the Massachusetts Grand Lodge. I know Jeff is here. Where's Jeff? Jeff Turco. Where is he? Ah, there he is. Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff is now the chairman of the Social Justice Committee for the Order Sons of Italy. Sons and Daughters of Italy, by the way. Thank you, Jeff, for doing that. We have Mr. Lino Rullo, who's the Mr. Everything in the Italian community. We have our second national vice president of the Sons of Italy here, Kevin Kyra, and his wife, Cheryl. We have the president of the October Italian American Committee, Rich Vida. Where's Rich? We have Margot Einstein. Margot? Where is she? Just to let you know, Margot's going to come up and say a few words. We associated ourselves with a bunch of different organizations. We have affiliates in the Asian community. We have affiliates in the Jewish community. We have affiliates in the, who else? There's 3 or 4 of them. Excuse me? Of course, Native Americans. And so we're trying to do it with everybody. We also have Dr. Paul Sergi. Thank you. Anthony Laurie. Dr. Laurie. Is he here? Dr. Laurie? Da-da. Okay. And I was told to say Anthony Deeb because I know I'd screw up your last name. DiSciullo. Okay, thank you. And we also have Kathy Young here, who's working the bar. She is the She's a second vice president of Massachusetts.
Don't give me a pay raise yet.
So all these people have helped us along the way, and we can't thank them enough, to be honest with you. So, Tom?
And we have another celebrity in the audience, somebody that you all know very well. He's a man that's really sets the pace for what things that we can do. He's indomitable. This man never gives up. And he's a good friend of ours. Dr. Dom Amara has such a great reputation. He's the president of the Pirandello Lyceum, co-director of Diallo School and Medical Center in the Republic of Guinea. He's very busy with many things that he's doing. I'll talk to you about some other things that he's accomplished in the past several years. And I'd like to introduce our chairman of the IAA, Dr. Dominic Amaro.
Thank you, Tom. I'm not an extemporaneous speaker, so I have to write things down. President Jim DiStefano has spoken of the why and how of the Italian-American Alliance. As a founder of the IAA, he has a unique perspective. He asked me as the chairman of the board of the IAA to share my perspective, so here it is. Just a few short years ago, the IAA was a small group that gathered to combat the assault on one of the great icons of American history, Christopher Columbus, by forces we did not at that time comprehend. It seemed that all at once there was this swell against an Italian hero with deep roots in Italian history and culture. It was difficult for us to imagine that Christopher Columbus, the historical figure that looms so large in American history, and for whom over 6,000 places in the United States were named, was being targeted for erasure. At that time, the IAA was focused on preserving the statue of Christopher Columbus in Boston and in combating efforts to eliminate the celebration of Columbus Day. We learned some hard lessons in those days. The most difficult were that we were unprepared for this assault individually, organizationally, politically, and academically. Understandably, Italian Americans in the metropolitan Boston area have become comfortable with their shared assimilation into American culture. And the Italian organizations were understandably content with their spaghetti suppers, bocce tournaments, card games, and cantatas. We were unprepared, and to make matters worse, we were not even sure who the enemy was. We also found ourselves largely alone. Even some of our own political paisan hid under the table when we knocked under their door, at their door. And the mainstream press was unsympathetic, if not openly hostile. We discovered that the university professors and even teachers were actively proselytizing the gospel of Boston University social scientist Howard Zinn, the Marxist incubus who helped foment the anti-Columbus hysteria with his now thoroughly debunked portrayal of Christopher Columbus in his book, People's History of the United States. As a parenthesis, I should note that in medieval Europe, intercourse with an incubus was thought to result in the birth of demons and deformed offspring with an impaired mental state. I can't help relating that milieu to the state of some of our young people today and even the nation. So why the assault on Christopher Columbus? We believe that Christopher Columbus was the first major target, albeit a very important one, of a well-orchestrated plan to deconstruct American society piece by piece, to be followed by a new society designed and aligned to a new social dogma. The pieces of which I speak are the icons, traditions, totems, beliefs, history, language, and relationships of Jews, Irish, Native Americans, Asians, blacks, and the other 3,800 cultures that make up America's unique social tapestry. Of course, this is all being done, we are told, for our own good. And if there are any collateral damage, so be it. With all this in mind, the Italian-American Alliance is reaching out to the Italian-American and other communities, entreating them to defend the rights of all cultures, to maintain and share their heritage in America. If we collectively succeed in this, we might just have a chance of preserving an America that guarantees us the right to do this. If we don't, we believe America will be picked apart and the pieces thrown against each other, resulting in a conflict that will so divide this country that it will not survive. President Abraham Lincoln said the same thing back in 1857, when he said that a house divided against itself could not stand. 4 years later, America was literally at war with itself. There is a lesson there somewhere. I believe it would be brainless, mindless, foolish, simple-minded, imbecilic, moronic, vacuous, hard-witted, idiotic, obtuse, and doltish not to learn from it. I think I made my point.
We have another important person to follow, Dom, and share some thoughts with you. She also is a director of the IAA, and she's president of the national chapters of the American, chaplain of the American Legion Auxiliary, and member of the board of the Pirandello Lyceum. She also represents our chapters that are in other states. This lady is always very busy. As you can see, she's got a lineup of different responsibilities that keep her very busy. And it's my pleasure to introduce to the stage Virginia Gardner.
Thank you, Tom. So tonight, I'd like to call up to the podium Dylan Leone, if you'd come up. Hi, Dylan. Thanks for coming up. Congratulations again. So Dylan comes from my alma mater, Newton High School, not Newton North. He's a Tiger. So Dylan is a sophomore, and he has been chosen to represent Team Italia U20 lacrosse. Dylan will be visiting Italy first and then off to Poland with the Italian team. Dylan is the only player as of now from this state of Massachusetts. The team picked 9 players from the USA with Italian heritage and 14 from Italy to represent and play on Team Italia. We are all very excited for him to represent his grandparents' home country and the small town of San Donato, Italy. Dylan is a proud American and a proud Newton High Tiger. Congratulations. And we are giving you this. And wait 1 minute. Dr. Amaro, would you like to present something from the Pirandello?
Oh, yeah. Congratulations. Thank you very much. As the president of a lot of things, the president of the Pirandello Lyceum, which is a cultural organization of academics and professionals, we want to express how absolutely proud we are that you will represent us. We can't be there, so you're going to be there in our stead. And we thank you very much for that. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
So tonight I get to, I've been asked to speak about the IAA National Chapter. So about 3 years ago, just before Dr. Mazzalia's sudden death, Frank put together a plan, his vision, to create the national chapter of the IAA. He died shortly after making this presentation, this concept to the board. Determined to make his dream come true, the board, with President James DiStefano, Chairman Dom Amara, and VP Tommy DiMangela, implemented his plan, and then they named me to the Italian American Alliance National Chapter President. I am forever honored and grateful for that. Dr. Frank believed there was strength in numbers, so it was important for me to establish connections and be the liaison to other states. To date, we have 9 chapters: Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Illinois, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Virginia, and most recently, Las Vegas, Nevada, with Fran Sullivan. Despite his Irish last name, he's half Italian. And Fran is voice of the Italian radio podcast. Once a month, Fran invites me to do a 30-minute segment with him. Along with this and my cable show on New TV, Virginia's Views and Vibes, 8-time winner. Did I mention that? And the K5 show that I do, and I forced Dr. Amara into doing this with me, much to his chagrin. We do a Zoom show. It's provided a great opportunity to promote our heritage and our IAA locally and nationally, and you can see it on YouTube. I have learned things along the way, and of course, Dr. Frank was right. There is strength in numbers. I value the friendships of our Jewish friends, Margot Einstein, Ora Mountain, Tom Mountain. I hope I didn't miss anyone. They're like family. The Asian groups, and of course, with Tommy's hard work, the Native American friends. They stand with us, and we stand with them. And although we have different religions, traditions, language sometimes, the thread that binds us is we are all proud Americans. Thank you.
Appreciate that very much. Before we have another presentation shortly by myself, I'd like to introduce another guest that's here tonight. And it's quite an event to have this woman here tonight because she represents the Jewish Christian community. She's a strong activist politically and socially. And I want to ask her to come to share a few words with you tonight about her feelings about what we're all about. And I want to let you know that Margot Einstein, by the way, is going to be celebrating her 101st birthday. That is amazing. And Margot put some words together to share with you tonight, and to assist her, her friend Beth will help her read her speech. Unfortunately, Margot forgot her glasses tonight, so we will have a little assistance, Margot, all right?
Thank you so much.
But we're looking forward to it.
Your kind introduction.
Oh, you're so welcome, Margot.
Thank you so much.
And Beth, would you like to come over here, hon?
Can I say?
Sure. Go ahead, Margot.
This is a wonderful gathering. I am so impressed. And I love that you join with other organizations, which we need desperately right now. So luckily I can blame being almost 101 that I left the one magnifying glass that I could read because I'm legally blind. And my sweet friend Beth D'Amato has just gone over my speech at the last minute, and she was kind enough to say that she would read it.
And you go, Beth.
Thank you very much. No, I'm okay.
Everybody hear me okay? Okay. You don't need one, but. Thank you, Ginny Gardner, National Council member of the Italian American Alliance. Thank you to President Jim DeStefano, VP Tom Damangello, Dr. Amara, Chairman. You're gonna have to give me some patience with doing the pages, okay? Of the Italian American Alliance, for the great honor to speak to you today. As a Jew and fellow patriot, I am deeply grateful for the ironclad support of true American values, as well as the nation of Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. Israel and America are intricately entwined. If one goes down, so goes the other. In spite of being surrounded by mortal enemies, not to mention Russia, Iran, North Korea, China, and the U.S. government, Israel has the most moral army in the world has ever seen. It is based on the Torah, the first written Bible. Palestinian men, actually, the word Palestinian means the Jews who returned to their ancient homeland, Palestine, Israel, from all corners of the earth. But we'll play along. Israeli soldiers during a war will email the enemy, remove your women and children from the open roofs of buildings where Palestinian men have put them. Sorry. To keep Israel from bombing the building. Who does this in a life and death war? Sometimes I think that the survival of Western civilizations vests on the backs of Israel. Teenagers who join the military in one form or another directly from high school graduation in order to protect their country against again. Israel and America are intricately intertwined. If one goes down, so goes the other. My friend Tanya Gorlin, the daughter of a Soviet general, she waited 8 years to get permission to leave the Soviet Union, and she converted to Judaism. It was 8 years to get out of a tyrannical government. Did you want to sing?
What?
What are you going to sing?
Thank you for reminding me. We are leaving Mother Russia. We have waited far too long. We are leaving Mother Russia. When they come for us, we'll be gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Beth. You sweetheart. What a friend.
Tanya now has serious cancer, but Tanya's spirit never fails. As a board member of the Christians and Jews United for Israel, she thought up and is running a marvelous Jerusalem Day parade this Sunday, June 2nd, in Brookline, Massachusetts. Please come. These events are crucial for the survival of our country, the last great place on earth. On campuses across America, the anti-Semitism is anti-Americanism. At the University of North Carolina, the renegade mob tore down the American flag and put up the Palestinian flag. The Hamas Palestinian terrorists plan to do the same to the whole country. Thank God for the heroes and heroines among the U.S., and thank God for the Italian American Alliance frontline warriors. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Well done,
Thank you
Beth.
so much, Beth.
Well done.
You rescued it.
I also have another gentleman I'd like to introduce to you that's been very important to the Italian American Alliance. A wonderful friend, a supporter, and many of you know him. And he's the representative of Winthrop and Revere. I'd like to introduce to the stage the Honorable Jeffrey Turco.
I'll start with a funny story. So when I first got elected to the House of Representatives in March 30th of 2021, a couple days later I get a letter in the mail from the clerk of the House, and it says, the Honorable Jeffrey Rosario Turco at my home address. So I said to my wife, there's a new sheriff in town. You got to start referring to me as the Honorable around this house. She said, I'll call you something, but it won't be honorable. So, but it's a privilege to be here to offer a few words, and thank you for the opportunity. The work that you do and the Alliance does is so important. I'm going to sort of jump around. I don't take notes when I speak, because I was told that my wife said to me, you stink when you read notes. It's not genuine. So I just speak from memory and from my heart. And so what I want to say is our national anthem, most people don't know, it's homework assignment. When you go home, go Google this. Our national anthem is unique among all the national anthems of the world. It ends with a question mark. Think about it. The last sentence we sing ends with a question mark. And I heard President Reagan talk about this many, many decades ago, obviously. And it struck me then about the question mark. And, basically the challenge was, are we as the American people going to stand up for our values, stand up for our nation, and continue to be the beacon of the world for people all over the world that want to come here and want a new and a better life for themselves and their families? And as we look today at our college campuses, and we see the ignorance, the stupidity. It started with Columbus Day from our standpoint, but now we go and we look at our college campuses, and I'll ask you a question. Look at MIT. You have the video that everyone saw of a Jewish student going to walk to class, and a Muslim student stands in the place, blocks them from going in, and MIT says, well, if we academically suspend the student visa will be rescinded by the United States government. They'll be sent home. We can't do that. That's too extreme. Now, let's juxtapose that with if it was a white South African student and a black student was attempting to go to class, and that white South African stood up and blocked based on racial grounds that black student. Is there any doubt what would have happened? That kid would have been on the first plane back to South Africa. There are people in this country right now, groups in this country right now, that it's okay to discriminate against. It's okay. We're the disfavored groups, whether it's our Italian American friends with Columbus Day, whether it's our Jewish brothers and sisters and what they're going through. And it's so important. And so I'm so happy that you're here, because I think it's so important that we align with other groups, that we may not agree on everything, but they're worth fighting for, because you know what? Hopefully they're going to back us when we're fighting for what's right for our people and for us. And so, by doing that, we're answering the question that ends our national anthem, And so I think it's so critically important, the work that you do every day. And, sometimes it's tedious, sometimes it's frustrating. I work in the House of Representatives. I'm a John F. Kennedy Democrat. I told people when I got elected, I'm a pro-life, pro-gun, moderate to conservative Democrat. And they looked at me like, that doesn't exist anymore, But I say that I've got friends that agree with me on those issues and disagree with me vehemently on it. But when you go there and you try to do the work, and Tommy sends me text messages and emails every 15 seconds about Columbus Day, but you go and you say, it's frustrating, because there are a lot of people that are just blinded by the ignorance about Columbus. But the education job you do, in the emails that get sent out, and the communications with your state reps and senators, and frankly, I never ran for office to say I was going to be a champion for Columbus. But talking to Ginny, talking to Tommy, talking to Dr. Amara, and so many other people in this room that talked about why it was so important, and it was an important part of my life. I grew up in Revere, where Columbus Day was a national holiday for our city, and it's so important to go out and speak the truth and let people know, why do we celebrate Columbus Day? And so I had the privilege this year, when the anti-Columbus bill came up, and I was speaking before the Joint Committee, and I said, look, why do we celebrate Columbus Day? It was because the largest single-day lynching of Americans in the history of this country happened against Sicilian Americans in New Orleans. And they looked at me like, huh? They don't even know the history. I mean, these are elected officials that don't know it. Our kids don't know it because they're not taught it because it's inconvenient. And so when you get up and you start educating people and talking, sometimes you can persuade people that, maybe we need to take a look. The other thing I want to just say is, right after I got elected, I don't remember who it was in this room, forgive me, so I can't give you adequate credit, but somebody called me up and said, I need to meet you in Newton for coffee. And I'm like, just got elected, I'm trying to get myself squared away in Winthrop and Revere, but all right, I'm going to Newton for coffee. And they said, we got an idea for you. You should champion this. I said, what is it? We think you should champion a tax credit for local newspapers so that when people buy a subscription to their local newspaper, they get a tax credit. And I said, what the heck does that got to do with the price of tea in China vis-a-vis the Italian-American Alliance, Sons and Daughters of Italy, the whole, and they said, the local newspapers are the only place that we can get our message out to people in the communities. And so I filed that bill, and interesting enough, about a month ago, I was invited to, there's a New England Publishers Association for small newspapers, and they had their annual convention out in Northampton, Mass, and they asked me to be their keynote speaker to talk about why I filed the bill. And I talked about my discussion. I said, get a call from some people from the Italian-American Alliance asking me, can we talk to you? We got a bill we think you should file. And they're looking at me kind of funny. I said, you guys are the lifeblood, you small newspapers, to our communities. You're the one that get messages out. The Globe and the Herald, they're bought and paid for by the big money folk. They don't care about our message. We'll never get a fair shake from there. But the local communities, the people read those newspapers because they're the ones that have the stories of, I have 6 kids. They're the ones that read the stories of my kids when they've had an academic or an athletic achievement. You don't see that in the Globe or the Herald. And so people do read these local newspapers. And it's a way, and so again, it's an example of people at this alliance and the work that you do saying to people, like, let's think outside the box. Let's go out and reach out to our other groups that are as disfavored as we are on certain things. Let's go out and talk to the newspaper publishers. Then I went around, there's a couple of my colleagues that families own newspapers, and they're like, that's a great, for conflict of interest reasons, we can't co-sponsor it, but we're with you. I think we got 15 co-sponsors on it, and so it's not going to happen this year, but we're going to work at it again next session and work on it. But again, it's something that came here that members of the Alliance put that thought in my head. So I just wanted to share some of those thoughts. Have faith, have confidence. There were good people. Nick Collins, Senator Collins from South Boston, called me up. He goes, I want to thank you for your remarks at the committee hearing. He goes, that bill's not going anywhere as long as I'm the chairman of this committee. And so, and so we got, a name like Collins. I didn't see an I at the end or a vowel at the end, but Nick's got, Italian, genes, and he said, this is what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and we need to do this. And the pitting us against the, Native Americans, a bunch of nonsense. I mean, I said at the committee hearing, the United Nations, an organization I abhor, but the United Nations, it has, I think it's Indigenous People Days, like August 9th. They said it's the only month in the year we don't have a holiday in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You don't have to screw Italian Americans, and forgive my language, but you don't have to screw Italian Americans in their pride by taking away our holiday. If you really cared about Native Americans and it wasn't an anti-Italian thing, you would simply turn around and you would name Indigenous People Day in August. All the state employees would be happy because they'd get an extra day off, and every month of the year would have a holiday. And so, again, we just have to be vigilant. We have to go out. We have to it's okay to be proud of our people. But more important than Columbus, more important than so many of these things, is this country is in grave danger, in my humble opinion. And good people need to speak up and talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your neighbors. Elections matter. Going out there and supporting candidates to support our way of life as a country and as a Commonwealth is so critically important. And if we sit on our thumbs, we do it at the risk of our children's future. God bless you all. Thank you for the opportunity.
I want to thank Ms. Einstein and Mr. Turco. They're just inspirational. It's something that we really have to hear over and over again, how important we are, and we want to say how important you are. I have to add one thing that I was at the hearing with a few other members at the anti-Columbus bill, and Representative Turco was the only representative who stood there with us. And that's in my brain, and it's forever in the annals of the Italian-American Alliance, that he stood for us when we needed it. And I want to say that again. Thank you very much. And for Ms. Einstein, thank you very much for being around this long. You are a breath of fresh air because you speak your mind, and I think you share some of the feelings that we have. Good, excellent. See, she speaks her mind. I want to introduce now a friend of mine, Tom Damagella. Tom is an entrepreneur, a president of the North End Historical Society, the library, North End Historical Society, the library. He's a friend, and he's a genius. He's our persistent librarian. He's a historian. He's really quite a guy. And if we want to know anything, ask Tom. Tom, thank you. We asked Tom to put together a very interesting, we hope very interesting for you. We have an interesting presentation, and only Tom could have done it because he is persistent and he is bright. I said that twice, didn't I? Yeah. I think you'll enjoy it, but more than anything else, I hope you learn from it, because the Italian-American Alliance in 7 years has taken a different direction than a lot of other organizations have taken. And that's not to say the other Italian organizations don't serve a purpose. I'm the president of an Italian-American organization. We're cultural, and we want to stay cultural. But there is a need for an organization like the Italian-American Alliance, which stands up when standing up needs to be done. So, Tom, without me saying any more, please.
Thank you, Dom. You give me much too much credit, Dom, really. A lot of what we do at the Italian-American Alliance is really amazing. For 7 years, I think what we've accomplished is beyond what most people would have expected. And I think Frank Mazzalia would have been absolutely amazed what we've done in the past several years. And what I did for you tonight is just kind of show you how we fulfill that mission statement. We do many things. We protect and preserve our Italian culture, our heritage. That's important to us. I had a conversation with somebody earlier that what's happening with our younger generation is that they're not realizing how important our Italian culture is to us. And it's for simple reasons. Over the generations, it gets diluted. They know they're Italian, but not the way we feel about it. And it's our job to really get them to understand that. And that's why we do exist. That's why we do a lot of different programs. And what I wanted to start with is just show you the things that we do with the Italian-American Alliance, that we invest our time as volunteers, is that we do things that promote our culture and heritage all the time. We invest in this strongly. And one of the examples is what we did right here. We have one of the greatest talent scouts and agent in our organization, Ross Zagami. And I can thank Ross for making this happen, because we have a project called the Amici Project, which was put together by the Italian-American Alliance from the founders to do things that kept promoting our culture. And so Ross brought to us Alberto Profeta, and he was right here in this room. We filled it up. It was a grand night where we had a great celebration, and we called it Presenting Uniti in Forza, Stronger Together. And it was a dinner and concert, and we had special guests at that time, Federica Sereni, the consulate of Boston. And we had a wonderful night. And there's some of our people that put that together. Look how handsome and beautiful they are. They're such hard workers, and they did a great job. Putting on something like this is not easy. We had 250 people in this room, and what an absolute voice he had. Tremendous singer. And at the same time, we not only had him here once, we had him twice. Right, Ross? And he was so well received. And on top of that, we had another great performer, Lydia. She was our Italian Lady Gaga. How many people came to that concert too? She was marvelous, just outstanding. And we continued with things like this. We can thank Carol Rossi and Angelo Rossi for helping to organize the La Festa Italiana at Waltham Common 2 years in a row. Again, we invest in this. We're not making money. We're just happy to break even, but we want to bring our culture to the communities so people who even aren't Italian can experience what we do there. We had music, entertainment, things for the family. It was a fantastic day. Of course, food that everybody can enjoy. That shows you what we do with our time and energy. And on top of that, we also promote our culture on a regular basis. We have a website that CJ Ganji, where are you, CJ? Stand up. There's that young man back there. He's helped put that together, so you can always find out what's happening with the Italian American Alliance by going to our website. And we have a newsletter, Indomito. We never give up. That's who we are. And that goes out to over 8,000 of our members who receive an email. And they get to hear about things about our community that makes us proud to be Italians. And again, Frank Mazzaglia started this, and he wrote some wonderful historical pieces on the Admiral Christopher Columbus and other things about our culture. And to keep that tradition going, Lena, where are you? Lena, stand up. She writes wonderful articles. Lena, there you are. Stand up, honey. She spends a lot of time, and we want you to open up that email when you get it. You're going to learn something about your Italian culture and why you're proud to be Italian. It's great pieces you share with us, Lena. Thank you for doing that. And that's sent out on a regular basis by our Constant Contact program. And on top of that, this is something that we're very proud of. We knew that after the pandemic and what happened in the summer of love, 2020, we lost the parades. Columbus Day was put on hold. Nobody could do anything. So when it came time of 2022, nothing was happening. No parades in the North End, nothing in East Boston. So who stepped forward? We did, the Italian American Alliance, and we had Christopher Columbus celebration in East Boston. We had 1,000 people that showed up to this event. And it's a wonderful place, and I'll tell you again, here we are very proudly at one of the tables. We had all our directors there and staff people. And look at the place. How many people have been to the Tall Ship in East Boston? Raise your hand if you've been there. It's gorgeous. It's the best view of Boston Harbor. Look at that. And look at how easy it is to entertain, sit down, and relax. This is an undiscovered place. And guess what? We're going to do it again in 2024. And we did it for 2 years in a row. Look at that stage, too. And we had an ongoing video of beautiful scenery of Italy. Well, we had 4 hours of entertainment on that stage. And already we're putting together events that people can enjoy for children and family. We had 1,000 people show up, food, drink. You can actually get alcoholic beverage there. That's usually unusual, but we have it there. It's available. And at the same time, Christopher Columbus showed up. And he looks pretty good for 500 years old. I'm telling you, not bad. But at the same time, we're going to do the same thing in October. And again, we have this gentleman, Frank Labella, who's very popular as a DJ. He's going to be there. Alan? Alan? Well, no, he's Frank, as far as I'm concerned. Sorry, Alan. Anyways, well, he's going to be part of the upcoming program. We're working on it right now. We're putting it together. And this is something else that we have. Many of our directors are part of this committee. The Italian Heritage Committee always organizes this to kick off Italian Heritage Month in October. And where's Richard Vita? He's the chairman of that committee. Richard, stand up. Where are you, buddy? Where is he? Well, the heck with them then. We'll have to get another chairman. Okay, time for a vote for a new chairman while Richard isn't here. But he does organize that, and several of our directors are on that committee, and they plan it and bring it into the State House, and they kick off Italian Heritage Month. And thank you to Governor Salucci and Sal DeMacy and Bob DeLeo. This came about in 1999. And we're very proud that we have a month that we can recognize our heritage and our culture. And there's Speaker Marinaro, and there's Bob DeLeo. He was a guest. He was a special presentation. And yes, Bob's a good guy. You bet he is. And he's probably happy he's retired now, too. And at the same time, there's the flag raising at City Hall. We participate in that, too. And why not? Bring up that Italian flag. Let people know that we're very proud of our heritage. And at the same time, guess what we did? How many people knew that we had Italian Heritage Month celebrated at the White House for the first time? A lot of you didn't know that, did you? Well, guess what? We did. And I want to let you know, the only person from Massachusetts that was invited to go to that reception, you're looking at him right here. We represented the Italian American Alliance. And that's First Lady Jill Biden. She's the first Italian-American First Lady in the history of this country. And a lot of people didn't know she was Italian, but of course her ancestors, her grandfather, they changed their name to Jacob and instead of Jacopa. So as you know how that story goes with a lot of Italian families to exist and succeed in this country, they had to hide their ancestry. But there we were, and she made a wonderful speech. It was a wonderful invitation. There were several other Italian organizations that were invited to be there by the organization of Copa Mayo, Conference of Presidents, which we're a member, and that's why I was invited to be one of the people to attend. They had only a limited amount of people that could be there. But that's us. The Italian-American Alliance was there representing you folks, and I was very proud to be there. And to be in the White House for the first time and to walk in those halls and see the presidents of the past with their portraits, it was quite amazing. That's the East Room that she made the speech. And at the same time, this is also something we're very proud of. When we talk about our culture and our heritage, you have to think of the Italian language. Now, most of us grew up with the dialect. That's what I heard in my family. Never heard real Italian spoken. But as time goes on, we lost it. Children now don't hear Italian anymore. I heard it. You heard it maybe. But it's disappeared. It's not in our schools. But I want to say thank you to our chairman, Dr. Don Amara, who was an educator himself, principal of Charleston Schools. He was determined to put a curriculum and a program together to bring Italian to the public schools. And working with Dr. Sergi sitting over there, they did it. They now have a course, a 4-year course in Canton High School, supported by our state legislators from that district, by the Italian government. Thank you to Arnaldo Minuti. And thank you to those gentlemen that worked hard to put this curriculum, find a high school who wanted to do this, hire the teachers, and they get a 4-year commitment to have that Italian taught to these high school students in Canton. That's fantastic. Dom, give him a nice round of applause. You can't tell you how hard and difficult that was. And we hope this is the template to keep moving this and making it happen throughout the Massachusetts, because yes, there's Spanish there, there's French, there's even Latin. How many people still speak Latin? Anybody? Brian, you're the only one. Thank you. But our immigration story is a fantastic story. And what I have before you is something that's also going on, and it's going to be placed in the North End of Boston. This is something I've been personally involved with at the North End Historical Society. We are sponsoring this along with the Friends of the North End, which is a fraternal organization of 300 men who grew up in the North End that still see each other. There's 300 for 50 years they've been having reunions. There's not a neighborhood in the country that does anything like that. But we are donating this particular sculpture to St. Leonard. And what it represents is our immigration story. When you think of our ancestors, how did they come here? By boat. And the first steps they took were down the gangplank from the old country into a new world. And that's why we call it the Noble Journey, because it took courage and conviction to make that journey to an unknown place. And when you look at the sculpture, see if you can picture this. This is a 5x8 bronze sculpture. And this is designed by the renowned sculptor Nancy Schoen, who was responsible for making Make Way for Ducklings in Boston Public Garden. How many people have seen those bronze statues? She's known throughout the world. She came up with this concept to say something that's dynamic, that we can experience. So when you go to St. Leonard's, and this is going to be installed, you're going to walk in the steps of your ancestors, in their footprints. Your grandmother, your nana, your nonno, maybe your mother, maybe your father, or maybe my mother. She came here in 1925 at 7 years old. And those are her footsteps. And so we're ready to install this on September 29th, and I wanted to share this with you because it's part of our story. And what I want to say that, again, the Italian-American Alliance, they stepped forward, and as we're raising money for this, they gave $1,000 towards this project. And thank you very much to all our board members. Really appreciate that. And you can all participate. We're still asking for donations, and don't hesitate to step forward and be part of this, because we're going to put a composite of all the donors for people that you did made the donation in memory, like my mother. But talking about raising money, that Amici project, we have to put it on, right? We bring people here. And Ross is already working on some new talent, aren't you, Ross, right? October. That's okay. So we have our great fundraisers. There's Ginny and Flo, and there's Marissa. They work so hard. We had Elvis Presley here, and we filled up the room, and we made some money. And we did it a couple times with the comedy night. And what we do with that money is we help to support the Amici Fund, so we can do those wonderful things like bring in Alberto Profeta. This is what we do. In 7 years, this is what this new organization has been doing. You think that we've been doing this for 40 or 30 years. So again, that's what we're very proud of. But the next step is what we've been very active with, is being actively involved in the community. And you've heard some wonderful comments already about what is going on with Christopher Columbus and things of that sort. And when you think about it, you know what happened to Christopher Columbus in Boston. In the 2020, he was decapitated. They removed the statue from Christopher Columbus Park, and then we got together and we did our best to organize the community to fight to have him brought back. But it was like a frenzy. It was like a virus went through this country. This cancel culture, diversity, equity, inclusion, sounds good, but it went off the rails. And we became a victim of it. And we found out that we had to stand up for ourselves. And as Dom said, we've been too asleep for 20 years, not realizing that this was in motion. And now we have to work and reverse it. And one thing that happened about this statue is that, maybe you don't know this, but Mayor Walsh did make a deal before he left, and it was finally brought back to the Knights of Columbus in the North End. And he now stands on a new pedestal where their community is. It's on North Margin Street. It's not where we want it, but he does exist still, and he's there, and he's been repaired. He's not sitting in a warehouse. But back in 2021, again, the IAA stepped forward and said, let's have a rally to make people aware of this. And we're the only ones who did that year, and we had a rally at Christopher Columbus Park in front of the empty pedestal on Columbus Day. And this is what we've been doing as an organization and feel very passionate about. And Jeff, you spoke about it beautifully. Dom, you did too. Many of you feel the same way. We understand the connection it has to our heritage. And this is why we work very hard to get to know the historians that have debunked the lies that have been said about Columbus. We've had Mary Graver. Kevin, didn't you have Mary Graver as a speaker at Dante on your breakfast? And she wrote a wonderful book, Debunking Howard Zinn. And Howard Zinn, only in that book that he wrote in 1980, 8 lousy pages, the first chapter of that book, to basically tear down Western civilization, which was his purpose. And it was all about what a bad person Columbus was. Genocidal maniac, enslaver, racist. Those are the things that he wanted to portray so he could build his case about Western civilization, the oppressor. And unfortunately, it got into our classrooms. And they used it as part of their curriculum. And we didn't know this. For 20, 30 years, this is what our younger generation was being taught. And I had one awful experience. My granddaughter and grandson were sitting in my backyard with us, and I asked them, tell me about Christopher Columbus. What do you know about him? And my 8-year-old grandson said, oh, I know. He's a bad man. And that's what was happening. Our own children, right under our own noses. And this is what they're teaching, because they listen to Howard Zinn, and they have one for a primer for 8th grade. They actually make a teaching tool from him. So we work very hard to talk to Rafael Ortiz, who's actually a Taino descendant from Puerto Rico, that supposedly are the natives that Columbus first met when he came here on his first journey. He now has read everything in his normal Spanish language that Columbus has written, and what was written by others that are his contemporaries. And he put this book together called Hero. And he's convinced that everything that's been said negatively by Columbus can be disproved because it's not true. And Carol Delaney, she came to our rally. Columbus and the Quest for Jerusalem. Mary Graber, who spoke at your particular event. Debunking Howard Zinn. And other blogs that educate people about Columbus. We've now attached ourselves to those people. And in fact, we have those books. I've read every one of them. It's a great learning lesson, but not enough people understand the truth. And that's why I wrote that article, Don't Scapegoat Columbus. And as far as what happened, I put that in the Post-Gazette. Thank you, Pam. It was in other publications, even some national magazines. And it really said he's just not right scapegoating him for fighting against social injustices of today. And he's been maligned. He was the easy fruit to pick to point to somebody that we're doing our job of trying to fight against social oppression. And on top of that, I also have the fact that, Jeff, you talked about this. Dom, you talked about this. We were at the State House. 3 years we lobbied at the State House because that bill is always in committee, ready to come out, because someone's always sponsoring to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. And we've worked very hard to organize and keep people in the Italian-American community aware of this bill so that they can send emails to their legislators. Just like Jeff said, they have to hear from us. So we put letters together, we emailed on a regular basis everything that was happening about this and how to write to your congressperson, your representative rather, in Massachusetts. And we sent these to 35 different organizations. Kevin, you got one from us on a regular basis so that you can give it to your members and send these emails. And you know what? The bill never got passed. And I say, we did one hell of a job to stop it. And I want to take a lot of credit for what we did in this room. And one way we did is that we showed up the public hearings. In fact, Jim, Dom, Brian, myself, we actually went to the State House and sat down with representatives in their offices to tell them what we thought. I had Zoom calls with some of them. And they'd probably say, who are these people? But they thought they got to hear us. And again, Dom, I want to say this twice. Jeff Turkle is the only representative that spoke up on our behalf and went to that public hearing. And you know why it's a big deal? Because we've had other people speak up to us personally, but will not say anything publicly. And that takes guts. And thank you for your integrity, Jeff. Really appreciate it. And right now, it's still in committee, and I don't think it's going to get out of that committee. And if they even do send it out, I know it's not even going to get to have a vote. Right, Jeff? Correct. You got it. So we are very proud to do that. But as Dom said, we've been fighting battles on a regular basis with communities. For the last 3 years, they called and connected to us, and we were able to help these towns stop them from eliminating Columbus Day. Do you know there's 351 communities in Massachusetts, and only 25 towns have gotten rid of Columbus Day. But if you listen to the opponents out there, they make it sound like, oh, everybody's gotten rid of it. It's not true. And these towns stopped their Board of Selectmen from changing Columbus Day. Because if we didn't step in, they would have done just what Jimmy said. One vote, one person, no conversation. Let's get rid of it. We're good guys. That's what we're supposed to do. And all of a sudden it's gone. But we educated them, the concerned citizens of those towns, and they had actually town votes and elections on it, and they defeated those bills thanks to our effort. Okay? And that's what we're very proud of the Italian-American Alliance. Those are wins. But it takes a lot of work. And I just hope that as time goes on, this starts to quiet down. And we can start, this goes away because people have very short memories. In that case, it's good. So again, saving Columbus is important. And why I have this up here, not only did we do it in the state, because we have to stop it from changing in the state, we lost it in Boston because of a mayor that was temporary. And on her last day, she did a sneak attack and got rid of Columbus Day in Boston. Nobody saw it coming, and we'll still keep working on doing something about that. The best thing we got was a proclamation for Italian Heritage Day from Mayor Wu, but that's not good enough. And I want to say that we're still fighting on a national level. This is an organization that we are members of, the Copa Mayo, Conference of Presidents of Major Italian American Organization. This is Basil Russo. gotten to know him very well, and we joined this as a member 4 years ago, and we've become very involved with them. And what's great about this is there's 67 different national organizations, like the Sons of Italy, etc. And we are working together, and when you bring more people together on a national level with the same goals, we are going to be more effective. That's why we ended up at the White House, by the way. This man made that happen. Basil Russo. If he didn't have a contact there and talk to them and suggest it, that never would have happened. So this is what we do. He's becoming very well known. And he wanted to let you know that he would love to have been here tonight, but we have an annual meeting in New York 2 days from now that he's going to be presiding over at the new Italian-American Museum in Little Italy, New York. They're opening for the first time, folks. We're going to have an Italian-American Museum, a whole building. And we're going to have our meeting there, and I'm happy to say that I'll be happy to represent the Italian-American Alliance. I'll be there in attendance on Saturday, and again, we'll have the chance to see something wonderful. Someday we'll have something like that here in Boston, too, because that's one of my goals. But Basil wanted me to share this with you. He wanted me to read this to let you know as a welcome. The Italian-American Alliance is just 7 years old and has grown and continuously added to its achievements, all thanks to its dedicated members. America has embraced Italians and Italian Americans, and in return they have embraced America as loyal and contributing American citizens. Our mission... Wait a minute. I think I read the wrong one. Excuse me. Wrong letter. Let's do that over, okay? One more time. Dear officers and members of the Italian American Alliance, it is my intention to personally attend your meeting to congratulate you for the exceptional growth and accomplishments the IAA has achieved, and to thank you for the support and leadership your organization has provided to the Conference of Presidents. However, my responsibilities related to organizing the Copa Miles National Annual Meeting in New York City this Saturday have prevented me from being with you today. In closing, I thank you for the important contributions the IAA has made to the Italian-American community, and I look forward to the future successes that we will achieve by continuing to work together. Best wishes, Basil Russo. And like Margot says, we're working together, Margot. This is what we're trying to do. Right on. And that's from Basil Russo. And something else that he also is responsible for, here he is again, and this is a trip he put together to Rome, and we actually got to meet the Pope, Francis, 2 years ago. And Rita and I had the pleasure of attending that. And again, what I love about this is that we have a cross-culture of different Italian organizations that we learn from each other. That was, again, something why we wanted to be part of the Copa Mile. At the same time, this is a milestone that I wanted to share with you. You heard some people refer to this already tonight. And what has been going on here for 4 years. 4 years ago, I found out about an organization that was made up of Native Americans, Native Indian Americans, which they like to refer to themselves to as Indians. And I was reading about them, and they said somewhere in the material that they supported Columbus. And I said, I've got to talk to these people. So what do? I pick up the phone and I call the president. And I had a wonderful conversation. I'll never forget that. And I found out he thinks just like we do. He's experienced the same thing that we're going through. People are canceling their culture, telling them how they're supposed to support and preserve their heritage. And he's fed up with it. Everything that Dom said, he could have written that same speech that Dom said about what's happening in America. And so Tony Henson and I got together, and then I met his chairman, Eunice Davidson, and we started to work together, and he started to write some letters supporting us, and we actually used them in some of those committee fights in those towns to have a Native American organization supporting us. Because the thing that we resented most when we went to that public hearing, and our Native Americans that were sitting there trying to eliminate our holiday, they brought somebody with them, an Italian who's against Columbus. And I hate that. And they make it sound like there's a lot of people out there. They're about this big. But they bring that one person with them. Well, we have the NAGA organization. Now there's with us, and we have an alliance, an official alliance with them, and they are made up of sovereign nations There's 500 nations of Native Americans in America that are recognized by federal government, and they're all over the country, and they're part of this organization. And what we're doing is now we have the first time the 7 Generation Alliance, and the Italian American Alliance is one of the charter members of this, and we're going to have 1 million people part of this alliance. Okay? And you know what? Any organization, Italian organization, can join this. It's only $100 to be part of it. And what we already have is solidarity calls on Zoom calls, and I've gotten Italian organizations that I know from throughout the country, and they've already been working and collaborating with them. And the letter on the right side says United Together. This is a letter that I worked with them on personally to talk about how they support Christopher Columbus and why. And this is a letter that I have with me, and I'll be happy to circulate it amongst all of you so you can have a copy too. That the Native Americans Guardian Association supporting our holiday and the importance of it. How do you like that, folks? This is a big milestone. I'm telling you, it's never happened before to have them, because like Jeff said, they pitted us against the Native Americans of our country. It's wrong. We can all have our holidays, we can all have our heritage, and we all support what we do. And just to prove that, we have always had a wonderful working alliance with this group, the Asian American Alliance in Chinatown. Several years ago, we got together with them, and they're wonderful, and we wanted to support them and be part of their culture and share it with each other. And we actually had them come to our first Christopher Columbus holiday event in East Boston. And their chairman, Dr. Wu, loves Italian opera, and he sang for us. It was wonderful. And we went to their festivals, and guess what? 2 weeks ago, I invited them to the Solidarity Call with the 7 Generations Alliance, and they were on the call with us. And I can't tell you how excited everybody else was on the call. They said, see, we can go to expand this alliance, this group. And the next one we want, Margot, is the Anti-Defamation League of Jewish people to be part of this alliance, because we want them to support them. Okay, we don't want them. We want you with it, Margot, okay? You can be part of it. And this is what we're looking forward to, is having to speak up for people working together to stop this cancel culture. And Dom Amara wrote a wonderful letter that I think many of you read about how Italians in our alliance are against anti-Semitism, and we stood up and made a public statement. And thank you, Dom, for writing a wonderful letter and presenting at the Pirandello event. It was wonderful. Thank you, Dom. Appreciate that very much. And lastly, leadership. As we've seen, we've taken an active role with all these different Italian organizations. These are all our friends. These are people that we know, people that we work with. We attend each other's functions. And this is important that we keep this alliance and this collaboration together, because together we are stronger, as we've said. And one of the last ones on this list, the National Italian American Foundation, NIAF, we just became an affiliate. We're the only Massachusetts affiliate belonging to this foundation, this national organization. It's very popular and it's very successful. It's been around for 30, 40 years. It has a gala event in Washington, D.C. every year. And because of this, we have now here tonight two recipients of a very special award, because we're an affiliate. People in our organization, children who are in college of Italian descent, can qualify for the Voyage of Discovery. It's a 2-week, all-expense-paid trip to Italy with other young college people. And we had our first recipient, Michael DiStefano. Michael, stand up. And he brought his friend Elisa. She's here too, from Las Vegas. Guess what? She's also was on this trip. Was it a wonderful trip?
It was amazing.
Amazing, right?
Amazing.
He's never been to Italy before, and now imagine a 2-week, all-expense-paid trip. Amazing. What a great opportunity. And do you have something for them? Here, present it to them. We have IAA hats. Congratulations. And this is another special benefit we have, being in the Italian American Alliance, that we want to share this program with people because it's exceptional. And we hope to see more people from our Italian American Alliance. We hope to send somebody there every year on this trip. Another wonderful thing by working together with the other Italian organizations. And here's Robert Allegrini. He's the president, and he's very excited about having our Italian American Alliance as an affiliate, and he also supported us on those Christopher Columbus events that we had in East Boston. They actually made donations to it, so this is how we work together. We try to, because we all have the same goals in mind to support our culture. And again, one thing that was really wonderful, here's Angelo Ferenzi. Remember this, Angelo, in the Dante? We made a wonderful farewell party for Federica when she left as a consulate. And what we have in this picture is 11 different organizations from Massachusetts that work together with each other to put this event together. And it's a wonderful example how working together we can share in these wonderful events. And I'm very proud of that experience. And here we are with our new consulate, Arnaldo Minuti, who's working very close with us. We work very hard to build a relationship. This is the Comites. This is part of their organization. This is how we spend our time. They all know who we are, and they work with us very closely. And that's another reason why that curriculum in Canton took place, because they jumped on board when they saw what Dom and Dr. Sergi was doing. And this is why we build these bridges and relationships. And one other thing, we also were invited, Dom and I were to visit the Italian ambassador of Italy to the United States in Washington, D.C. And again, because we're members of the Corpo Maio, we had the opportunity to attend that. We have made ourselves very visible to Italy about the Italian-American organizations, and they support us. Do you know they actually had a resolution at the Italian Parliament to support Christopher Columbus and the Italian-American communities? They actually passed that. They need to speak up for us just as well, and it's because of things like this. And there's even an organization in Rome that's run by Umberto Mucci called We the Italians, and his purpose has been around for 10 years, and you know what he supports? Not Italians, but he supports Italian Americans. And we're the only representative in Massachusetts as part of this association. So I just wanted to share with you all the different networking that we've done to make ourselves more effective and to know what's going on so we can make things happen the way we want them to. And just think of all the religious societies in North End. They're all our friends. And because they're our friends, we were very successful in working with St. Joseph's Society. We actually helped to support, to get Father Coppadano on a stamp. He's a he's a Medal of Honor hero from the Vietnam War. He lost his life there, and he was somebody that we think that we would love to have him recognized on a stamp. It's now in committee. It takes years to happen, but we were very aggressive in getting a petition like this and supporting it. And these are the things that we do. Also to support our community. This was a wonderful concept. Each year, the Italian American Alliance identifies Italian Americans who have distinguished themselves in their profession, their service to the community, and their effort to maintain and share their Italian heritage. There's so many people like you that are out there doing wonderful things that nobody even talks about or knows. And we thought it was, let's take a moment to stop and recognize those individuals and what services they provide. So we had 100 people listed several years ago just to let people know that we appreciate their professionalism and their unselfish efforts to do something wonderful for the community. And we have another 100 that we're putting together as we speak. So again, we have spreading the word with national chapters. And in conclusion, we're part of 2 flags, 1 heart. We're very proud of our heritage. We're all about family and faith. And it's been a pleasure to share this with you tonight. And I hope you feel as proud as I do about being an Italian American and part of the American Alliance. Thank you. Tonight, Jimmy, why don't you come up? Because Jimmy would like to have some final words with you and share some things and thoughts with you at the same time.
What a great presentation, Tommy. Thank you so much. Believe me, it's a lot of work. It's hard work. And every one of these members on here do it because they love their Italian heritage. Nobody takes a nickel. And we all do it, and we all love doing it. And Dottie D'Onofrio brought some stuff for us to pick in those baskets up front. There's some pens and some other stuff. Help yourself, please. I don't know what else I can add to to what Tommy and the rest of the crew has already said. My only thought is, if you are not a member of the IAA, shame on you. Please become one. It's very expensive, by the way. You can either be a member, a voting member, which is a sustaining member, and you might have to take a loan out. It's not cheap. It's $10 a year. And if you can't afford it, we'll probably let you become one for nothing. Because we do have, the other membership program we have is, you give us your email address and we'll send you all the information you need. And you'll be getting those emails back from us. The other last thing we want to do is, we want to have a quick question and answer. If anybody has any questions. Yes?
I'd like to make a statement if I could briefly.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you a member of the IAA?
3 years.
I see you wearing a shirt, so yes.
I've got a hat too. If you're doing it.
Here you go.
I'm for Italian folks. I just want to make a quick. That'll be bad.
Yes,
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nick Pascarosa, 3-year member of the IAA. Read everything, but what a power room this is. This is unbelievable. All of you people, you do more than what I read. Now, I'm from Newton, and I'm not really proud of that right now because of the way they think, and they chose, in their wisdom or lack of, to eliminate Christopher Columbus Day and replace it with Indigenous Day. Can you imagine sticking the thumb in our eye like that? So, I saw the word activism up there. There's Ginny Papa Gardner, that's me. Okay? We decide, the hell with them. We're going to have our rolling parade on Columbus Day every year. We've had 2 years of it. It gets bigger every year. And I offer all of you, you wonderful people, on October 14th, it's a morning thing. It doesn't take long. We assemble at the old FA Day in Newtonville, and we go through Newton, and we're done by 10. And I want to remind you that we go by the Indigenous Fair. And we're well received, but we are gentlemen and ladies in spite of it. But anyway, I love what you guys are doing. I'm glad to be a member of the society. And if I can help in any way, I will. But we are doing our thing at the local level. Activism. We will have that parade every year, and no one can stop us. The Newton police would not give us the courtesy of shutting off roads. But John Panaggio, Captain John Panaggio of the Middlesex Sheriff Department, provided the escort for us. True Italian. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. And we've been to Newton 2 or 3 times trying to fight that changeover. But unfortunately, right now we lost, but not forever. Believe me. Okay, so again, if anybody would like any questions, because if you don't,
Jimmy, you also got shirts and hats that you want to wear our logo proudly. They're available to the bottom tonight.
oh, there you go. We have merchandise. You saw the shirt that Nick had on? We have more here. You see the hats that we gave away? They're cheap. They're only $100, believe me. No, they're up front here for sale. There's a question. Carol.
In those baskets, one of them are tags, key tags that say Save Columbus, and they have the IAA on the back.
Yes.
So it's way to promote Columbus.
So in these baskets, we have key tags from that say IAA, and they promote Columbus. There's a little blurb about Columbus, and we have IAA pens, so if anybody needs a pen, help yourself. Thank you very much, Dottie Denarfia. Where are you? There she is. Thank you, darling. Say again?
Would you ask and invite the membership to take some and give them out to a potential neighbor or someone that they can encourage about a membership?
Okay, you get that? Help yourself and give them away, and get us more members. We need them. We need all the people we can get.
Imagine if everybody here at least brought 2 people in to join them.
Yeah, I know. We send out over 8,000 emails. Over 8,000 emails, which is amazing. It blows my mind.
Does the same member vote?
Yes, the sustaining member, there are two things you can do as a sustaining member. Number one, you can vote for our board. Okay, we have an election every year. And number two, if you choose, you can run for the board. If you're a regular member who doesn't pay, then you only have the choice of listening to us all the time. But anyhow, believe me, it's such a pleasure to see everybody here. And if nobody has any questions, there's still more stuff. Oh, we got a beautiful cake that Ginny made. We're gonna. Oh, you didn't make it, Ginny. Oh, I'm sorry. I was told you made it. George, you lied to me. Anyhow, we're gonna cut the cake and everybody have a piece. There's still more coffee and probably more sandwiches. So help yourself. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, wait a minute. We have a question. We have a question. There you go.
Men and women, you wear it, you expose yourself to it today, you have to stand up. If you don't stand up and claim who you are, that's hard to slow down.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Two things we try to do. Educate so we don't eradicate. Educate. That's the hardest thing to do, but we have to keep trying. Okay, folks, thank you so much. And Tommy has a letter if anybody's interested in taking one. And please, Ginny, we got to cut that cake, honey.